Hello everyone, I am Mark Kinra and welcome to Lokmanya. Today we'll be conducting a very special webinar on recent Armenia-Azerbaijan clashes, which began on 27 September 2020. And after almost 1.5 months of conflict, peace deal was signed between Armenia, Azerbaijan and Russia to end all hostilities as of 10th November 2020. I'm being joined by two experts to speak on the matter. My first expert, Dr. Professor Ali Omidi. He's an Associate Professor of International Relations in University of Isfahan, Iran. And Ms Aditi Bhaduri. She is the founder editor of International Affairs Review, which works on international affairs from Global South. She specializes in Central and West Asia and speaks English and Russian fluently. Welcome both of you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
So without wasting any further time, Professor Ali, can you tell me what has been the role of Iran in Armenia and Azerbaijan clashes?
Iran played a more active role in the first crisis after the collapse of Soviet Union. The parties of conflict, Azerbaijan and Armenia, welcomed Iranian initiative. At that time, Iran's role was very positive. But in the second crisis that happened 40 days ago, we witnessed that the active player at the crisis were most Turkey and Russia. And this conflict was brokered and ended by Russia. It is believed that at this time, Iranian position or Iranian stance at the crisis become more clarified because Iran clearly asked Armenia withdraw from the occupied territory of Azerbaijan. Also, Iranian high-ranking authorities, Supreme Leader, his advisor, Foreign Ministry official, Mr. Zarif, Foreign Minister, they believe that Azerbaijan territory were occupied by Armenia. Armenia, for ending this crisis, should withdraw. And also it was clarified that Karabakh area is belong to Azerbaijan. But at the same time, Iran believed that because inhabitants of Karabakh are Armenian and Christian, they should have a special status. For example, cultural autonomy, and in such models. Witness that Iran's position was more clarified, but Iran had not active role in ending this crisis. Iran also proposed a peace initiative. Mr. Archi, Deputy of Foreign Minister, he traveled to Azerbaijan, Russia, and Armenia, but because Iran's role was a little low profile, so Iran initiative was not welcomed by those parties.
Right. Was Iranian, because initially Iran was supposed to be backing Armenia, but then Iran, also supposed to side with Azerbaijan. Was this calculated move because of the Azeri roots of Iranian population, including its leaders and politicians?
I think your assumption is not true. That Iran, allied with Armenia, Iran support Armenia. It is. I believe that it is a press, mass media rumor. Iranian supreme leader is Azeri.
Okay.
And the commander of Iranian military joint staff is Azeri. Many high-ranking officials are Azeri. It is impossible Iran to be allied with Armenia at this crisis. So I believe it is mostly mass media rumor and some Azeri activists, ethnic activists may flare up this rumor. So I don't agree with you in this issue.
Okay. Aditi, coming to you, what has Firstly, India, what is the historical aspect of India-Armenia relations, and what is India's take on the whole crisis?
Well, India and Armenia have very old historical ties. They go back to the BCs. And do you want me to give you a small recap of that, or
Sure,
just,
please.
Well, apparently in the second century BC, there were two princes from Kannauj who traveled all the way to Armenia, and they established a Hindu colony. And it's written in a book called The History of Taron by someone called Zenov, some historian called Armenian historian called Zenov. And after that, they disappear. After Armenia adopts Christianity as its state religion, and Armenia was the first country in the world that adopted Christianity as its state religion. We don't hear anything more about this community. So there is speculation that probably they were also absorbed into, they either converted or they were killed because there were wars and all that. And then we have a little bit coming ahead, we find more about the Armenians in the medieval period, during the Mughal period. If you recall, India's borders were quite different then. Yes. And so these Armenians, they actually came through Iran. They came via Iran. And Armenians are very entrepreneurial people. Wherever they go, they leave their mark. They're good businessmen. They're intellectuals. And Akbar the Great, actually, the Mughal emperor, he was very fond of them, and he actively encouraged them to settle down. One of his Christian wife is also supposed to be Armenian. And then, of course, during the British rule, they were elevated. Their status kind of got elevated, partly because of the religion they followed, Christianity, which kind of won them the confidence of the Europeans. And at the same time, they were Persian speaking, so they have the confidence of the ruling, the local Nawabs, Mughal courts, and also they were kind of an intermediary. And colonies of Armenians sprung up in the metropolises where you find the British, that is Calcutta, Madras, Bombay, and they left their legacy behind. Especially, I can talk about Calcutta because that's I belong to. They had 1838, they established the Armenian College, which is still functioning actually. And
right.
They don't have such a big Armenian diaspora now here, community, but they bring Armenian children from Armenia, from Iran, for education, children from less privileged homes. They have Armenian teachers come down from Armenia teaching, Armenian language, Russian language, music. So the first, also interesting is that the first Armenian newspaper was begun in Chennai in the 18th century, which is I think 1794 or something, which was actually also India's first non-English newspaper to be published.
All right.
The first draft constitution of an Armenian republic was also drafted and in Chennai, again in 18 something by a nationalist. So it's a very, very close. Like Armenians definitely know about India, wherever they are, because many of them, they have their roots have been from here. They have their churches which are still functioning. West Bengal has 3 Armenian churches functioning. So it was quite a visible presence, which then of course dwindled after, with India's independence. A lot of the Armenians, they also intermarried, many of them. They went away, they moved to Australia, they moved to Hong Kong, they moved to the US. Calcutta has this very famous Fairlawn Hotel, which is still run by the family that belonged to an Armenian woman. And Shashi Kapoor, it was Shashi Kapoor's favorite hotel here. He always put up at this hotel.
Okay, nice to hear that. So, emphasizing, on Russia's role, Aditi, what can you tell us about Russia's role in determining India's neutrality in this conflict?
Well, see, the Caucasus is Russia's backyard, you know, it's Russia's strategic backyard. And Russia's interest there is not so much economic as it is, you know, strategic. And so, of course, you know, given the ties between India and Russia, India is not going to do anything to upset, you know, to upset Russia in its backyard, whether it is in the Caucasus, whether it is in Central Asia. And right now, given India's relations with China, you know, Russia is playing some kind of, it's not mediating, but it is playing a role, you know, in de-escalating the tensions, in you know, just getting the sides. And Russia has very close relations with China. So all the more now, India is not going to do anything to upset, you know, the equation with Russia, which is why India still has not got a resident ambassador in Georgia, because Georgia is at war with Russia, you know, it has conflict with Russia. Even though Georgia has an embassy in India, so that's one. Secondly, you know, Armenia has this, is part of the CSTO, the Central Treaties Organization with Russia, whereby it is incumbent on Russia to come to Armenia's aid militarily if it is attacked. And Russia has its military bases in Armenia. Now, India also has a treaty, and from, you know, these three Caucasian states, India has the closest relations with Armenia. It is reflected, you know, all these. See, India has also had civilizational ties with Azerbaijan. Right. For instance, there is you know, a fire temple in Azerbaijan, with Georgia. But it is Armenia who has kind of reciprocated and kept up these ties, to the extent that Armenia equivocally supports India's position on Kashmir. Armenia supports India's, you know, claims to permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council. So there is no two ways about it, you know. Armenia does not have any diplomatic relations with Pakistan, but so, and it has a treaty with India, which clearly says that while it, not a treaty, sorry, it has a friendship agreement with India, which clearly says that in case of a conflict between Armenia and another third country, India would remain neutral. You know? So okay. Even if not coming to Armenia's assistance, it would not be supporting the third country.
The other country. Right.
So what I'm trying to say was, and now in this case, again, there is this Armenian-Russian relations, which has not been the best, you know, till this conflict broke out under the new Armenian administration, which is considered to be more Eurocentric and has been kind of ignoring Russia. So, which is why maybe also, you know, Russia took a long time to, you know, to even make a statement, or to, you know, it didn't really intervene, except it was after, you know, after the conflict had started and gone on for quite some time, that Russia hosted the foreign ministers of Armenia in Moscow, and you know, so we did not see a very active Russian role till more recently. I was a little disappointed with India's position, in the sense that India took quite a few days to make a statement. You know, the conflict had broken out for India, took almost a week to make a statement. And that is not exactly how a country which sees itself as a power, a major power, a regional power, would, you know, is expected to. India could have made a statement earlier. India did talk about the Minsk group, did give its support to the Minsk, you know, the Minsk group decision on, you know, resolutions regarding the conflict, but it failed to say a mention of mercenaries, which I think, you know, has implications for India also. Now, so that is one about India itself, India's national interest, whatever. India also has, you know, been very careful because it has economic interests in Azerbaijan. Again, which I think that, you know, are reciprocal. I mean, Azerbaijan would also be interested in having these economic relations with India. So that should not have deterred India to make a stand, because Armenia has made its stand very clear regarding Kashmir. So, that is what you would expect from a friend.
What can you highlight about a trend which I've seen in Indian news media? So there are a couple of YouTube channels and a couple of news outlets which are mostly linked to Muslims, Indian Muslims, and they are they're overtly praising Azerbaijan. They are overtly supporting Azerbaijan in the clash between India and between Armenia and Azerbaijan. So, considering in what India's position is, some of these Muslim news media outlets or individuals, their support, don't you think it's harming, India's interest and also, their own, interest in their personal capacities, what they do? Because it's going against the notion which India is carrying forward in this international scenario.
I don't know how many of them, because we don't have the relations with Azerbaijan are not so deep. Um, the ties were established, diplomatic ties were established much later than with Armenia, and we have not had any high-profile visits, bilateral visits between Armenia between Azerbaijan and India, as we have had a number of high-profile visits from Armenia to India, and from India to Armenia, which we don't see with Azerbaijan. So there would be two reasons. One would be, of course, the religion. We cannot, there would be some religious sentiments. Yeah. We cannot disregard that. It's not politically correct to say that, maybe, but that is the fact. If you notice these YouTube channels. Second is that I think that, because Turkey is so involved, and Turkey has made a lot of inroads into India, especially with Muslim communities. It has been reaching out through scholarships, through all kinds of initiatives. It has been reaching out to Indian
NGOs, donations.
Yes, yeah, and visits and things like that. We know that Erdogan is the Turkish president, he is trying to claim leadership of the Muslim world. If you have been following the Turkish press, which I do, they have been highlighting constantly the religious angle in this war, and I think that would be one of the reasons. I mean, why does Pakistan support Azerbaijan?
Yeah.
I doubt if Pakistan has sent any mercenaries, but it is again under Turkish influence. There is a strong solidarity. And by the way, Azerbaijan strongly supports Pakistan's position on Kashmir.
Yeah.
Which is all the more reason why I find India's response, India's position disappointing. I mean, at least they could have had a stronger, a firmer statement that the Ministry of External Affairs made. There is also another angle. You see, legally, many also argue, because I've been having a lot of arguments with some of my Central Asian friends, not from Azerbaijan, but from Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, who also support Azerbaijan, because they say that, look, Nagorno-Karabakh is part of Azerbaijan's recognized borders. But, it is, even within the Soviet Union, it was a part of the Azerbaijan Soviet Republic, but it was an autonomous republic. It was an autonomous enclave within the Azerbaijan Republic, because, as Professor said earlier, that the territory is 99% Armenian inhabited. Right. And it did not begin with it did not begin with the Soviet Union, but much before that. It is actually Armenian territory, which, during the time of the Soviet Union, there were a lot of mix-up of populations. There were deportations of populations, of communities, and this was done deliberately to keep these republics and to keep these communities dependent on Moscow. It was not just in Azerbaijan, it was also in Central Asia. We find large Tajik-speaking territories incorporated into Uzbekistan. So we have to remember this, that the Armenians, they do have claims, rightful claims to this territory of Nagorno-Karabakh, because this was autonomous for this reason. And when the Soviet Union broke up and the right to self-determination was applied by Azerbaijan, by all the Soviet republics, similarly, the people in the enclaves, they also wanted to try to exercise the right to self-determination. And here, I doubt that the conflict will, of course, the Armenians, especially in Nagorno-Karabakh, they are heavily outnumbered, both in terms of defense personnel, in terms of resources, in terms of arms. But I doubt that, we have seen the end of the conflict. I would say that even if a good way would be, as Professor earlier said, maybe make it kind of an autonomous, if it's not going to join with Armenia, make it a kind of an autonomous territory like we have Kurdistan in Iraq.
Okay, thank you. Professor Ali, so with the peace deal which has happened between Armenia, Azerbaijan and Russia, can you elaborate as to how much land will be given back to Azerbaijan?
The Christian people are very sensitive to the fate of Armenian in the Karabakh area. As Professor Adi said, that Russia believed that Caucasian area is its close neighbor, as it is common, close neighbor, or backyard. So the Russia is very sensitive to the fate of Christian people in the Nagorno-Karabakh area. So I think this identity would be kept in the future for this area. But I believe that this area will be located as part of Azerbaijan territory, but as an autonomous with monitoring of international, monitors. So I think that this peace would be perpetual, except any bad thing happen inside Armenia politics. For example, a coup happened. International community support Azerbaijan stance. The UN Security Council issued 4 resolutions according to Chapter 7. It is very important. It was reiterated in those resolutions that Nagorno-Karabakh area is part of Azerbaijan territory. Russian mind is that international, other powers, other superpower, great powers, the Europe, the US, to be involved in the peace process in this area. Azerbaijan could get what he wanted because according to this peace deal, Armenia agreed to withdraw in all area of occupied territory of Azerbaijan, except Nagorno-Karabakh. And for this reason, I think this peace deal will be, it takes long, it would be perpetual.
Okay. Professor Ali, another question which is of prime importance is that of Iran's security, concerns with respect to the conflict. Iran's, position with respect to the crisis, and is there and the concept of Greater Azerbaijan, which is the northern part of Iran. Is there any kind of that thought process which when Iran was thinking about it?
There is two phenomena. One is Iranian nationalist.
Okay.
Iranian nationalists, they believe that Caucasian area belonged to Iran, in 200 years ago. there was war, two major war between Iran and Russia at that time.
Right, yes.
Two treaty, Golestan, first treaty was Golestan, and the second treaty was Turkmenchai. And Iran ceded this area to Russia at that time. And even now, many Iranian, especially Iranian nationalists, they believe that this area, even now, is part of Iran, and they should come back to Iran. And even on Karabakh crisis, in the mid of Karabakh crisis, some Iranian, even former official, Iranian former education minister, Mr. Botai, he commented, he tweeted in the Twitter that two sides, two parties are fighting about a territory that belongs to Iran.
Okay.
It is a critical one, a crucial one. Some Iranian foreign minister opined such opinion. So one current is Iranian nationalist, and other current is what in Iran we call pan-Turkist. Pan-Turkist. Did you hear this term?
Yes.
There's a pan-Turkist nationalist, and some of pan-Turkists are in Iran, especially in Iranian-Azerbaijan area. They believe that Azerbaijan southern area and Azerbaijan northern area, they mean Republic of Azerbaijan, they should be united, So from national security perspective, Iranian officials are sensitive to this issue, and they follow up and they track down if such movement happen inside the Iranian Azerbaijan. They suppress them without any doubt.
Okay.
Yes, suppress it. There is a rumor about the peace deal between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Azerbaijan agreed in the peace deal that permit to Armenia to have connect to Nagorno-Karabakh area.
Right.
So, but instead ask Armenia to permit Azerbaijan to connect a road from Nakhchivan to Nakhchivan, is an autonomous area that belongs to Azerbaijan. It is inside Iran, and also have connection with Turkey.
Right.
Have a road border between Iran and Armenia to have direct connect from Azerbaijan mainland to Nakhchivan area.
Yeah.
There is one critical issue here. In the media outlet or in the social media, there is a rumor that Azerbaijan ceded that area for good to Azerbaijan, and there is no direct connection between Iran and Armenia. In other words, the border between Armenia and Iran was deleted. It is wrong. It is not true. Iran is very sensitive to this issue. If they want to change the border, I think this would not be happen in the future, because Armenia located among four neighbors. In the west, it is Turkey. In the east, it is Azerbaijan. Armenia are very sensitive to Turk people. They believe that in 1915 Ottoman Empire, a Holocaust happened. So against Armenia.
Right.
So actually, Azerbaijan and Turkey is enemies of Armenia. So I think never Armenia do not permit that border with Iran to be changed.
Okay.
So Armenia have no access. So Iran more sensitive issue is this area.
Right.
Iran, for making a power balance, believe that this border should be stable, no change.
Right.
So have a leverage against Azerbaijan, Nakhchivan, and Turkey. It is against realism if Iran accept any border change in this area. So I make sum up and make short. Iran is very sensitive to Azerbaijan nationalist movement, and until now, Iran suppressed any movement at that
Right.
area, and other issue I mentioned.
Right. Coming again to the another important aspect of Iranian national security importance is that of ISIS militants. You know, those were present in Azerbaijan and were fighting, you know, for Azerbaijan against Armenia. How much, you know, Iran's, you know, is up and, you know, up its ante with respect to, you know, ISIS militants in its background?
You know, I think there was more news profile, you know, highlight about this issue. In the field, I think ISIS or, you know, ISIS, no, it is Islamic militant. There is different, you know, between ISIS, because Turkey was against ISIS. And Islamic movement, they have loyalty to Turkey. It is believed that they deployed inside Azerbaijan. It is very critical issue. You know, those militant, they believe that Shiite people, it is a, you know, paradox. It is a paradoxical situation. You know, majority of Azerbaijan population are Shiite.
Yeah.
And those militant deployed inside Azerbaijan in the war against Armenia. At the same time, those militants don't believe that Shiite people are Muslim, real Muslim. So actually, they are mercenary people that under control of Baku and Ankara. And there was more fuss about this issue than reality. So Iran even is very sensitive to this issue, and Iran didn't find any, you know, sign that those militants deployed, you know, close to Iranian border. And let me tell you a fact. Those militants is not worse than Israeli, you know, agents inside Azerbaijan. Maybe there is propaganda inside Iran that we don't let those militants to be deployed, you know, we fight with them, etc. In reality, Iran don't make practical move against those militants. Just they make a security threat against Iran. You know, if they make security threat against Iran, Iran may play active role against them. But as far as there is no feeling of military security threats from those people, I think there would not be any serious reaction from Iranian side against them. Right. So maybe propaganda, Iran maybe make strong, you know, rhetoric that we are against them, they are a security threat. But as far as there is no practical threat, I think Iran don't make any reaction.
Okay, okay. Thank you all. You know, you have been really great speakers. It was really fantastic hearing both of your views. Thank you, Professor Ali. Thank you, Aditi, again for joining to Lokmanya, and we'll connect back again.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much.